Good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is Laird, and today I'll be doing an analysis on a certain song called Ozone by an artist who goes by Unique Salonga. Now, whenever you hear the name Unique, I bet the first thing you think of is this performance right here. Well, that is one of, if not his most famous performance. And if you've never heard of him before, well, let's talk about it. Unique Salonga, or more commonly known as Unique, is a 22-year-old Filipino singer-songwriter. He was born on the 26th of April, year 2000. And as I've stated in the intro, he used to be part of the alt-indie band Four of Spades, a band most famous for their song, Mundo. He left Four of Spades in 2018 to pursue a solo career. His music leans towards genres like alternative and indie, and occasionally dabbles in genres like rock, psychedelic, and experimental. Now, he has 2 studio albums out and a handful of singles. He's also quite well decorated. For example, he's been nominated for awards like the 32nd Awit Awards for Best Cover Art, and the 14th Mix Music Awards for Male Artist of the Year, and for the 5th Wish Music Awards for Wish Rock/Alternative Song of the Year, to name a few. Impressive, right? Some of his hit songs are Midnight Sky, Wag Ka Sanang Magagalit, and arguably the most well-known song from him, Sino. All of that aside, the song of his which I'll be discussing is entitled Ozone from his debut album, Grandma, the 3rd track to be exact. Well, let's move on. The song's structure is quite straightforward. It follows a sort of A-A-B-A-B-A format. In other words, an extended form. The entire thing is in F minor, and the tonal center, or the 1 chord, or if you don't know any music theory, the sound of home, which is F minor, sounds like this. There's no changing of keys, and the chord progression is fairly simple. It follows a 1-5-1-5-4-4-1-5 progression. What I've played before this part of the video is actually the chord progression of the song. Again, it goes F minor 7, C minor 7, F minor 7, C minor 7 again, and then it goes to B flat minor 7, which is the 4 chord, back to F minor 7, and then the C minor 7. That progression repeats throughout the entire song, except in the chorus, it doesn't go to the 4 chord, which is this chord right here, the B flat minor 7. It follows a 1-5-1-5 progression, which repeats. After the intro, verse, and chorus comes the second verse, which follows the same progression as the first verse. So again, 1-5-1-5-4-4-1-5. After the second verse is the final chorus, and after the final chorus is the outro. The outro follows a different progression. It goes 1-5-1-5-1-5 and then 4 until the end of the song. The instruments, on the other hand, are also simple. The bare-bone basics: drums, bass, guitar, and keys. That's really all you need to make good music. It's simple, effective, and gets you grooving. Considering its time of release, it's pretty weird that the song talks about an event that happened back in '96. The artist wasn't even alive at that time, yet he was able to write a song about it. The event I'm talking about is the Ozone disco fire, hence the song title, Ozone. To summarize what happened, on March 18, 1996, the Ozone Disco was expecting a lot of patrons. The place was famous for their low barrier to entry and affordable prices. This was amplified because the school year had just ended, and the place was well known among students. On that night, there were around 350 patrons and 40 employees partying the night away. What's wild is that the club was only meant to cater to 35 people. As for the club's interior, the ceiling was reportedly adorned with decorative egg cartons, and the walls around the DJ booth were lined with acoustic foam, extremely flammable materials. At around midnight, there was a flash of light from the feet of the disc jockey. The people thought it was special effects, but their amusement quickly changed into panic when the spark traveled to the ceiling and the decorations were set on fire. The DJ stated in an interview that he tried to announce that there was a fire, but the microphone stopped working. In a few seconds, the lights and electrical systems gave in. The entire club was engulfed by smoke and darkness, lit up only by the raging flames. Of course, chaos ensued. A stampede formed, which made it extremely difficult for anyone to try and escape. The patrons frantically rushed to the door, but to their surprise, the door was meant to be pulled from the inside to open. A terrible decision that management made based on feng shui. Because of the way the doors opened, the people were effectively blocking their own way out. It was reported that the club's emergency exit was blocked by a new building next door, and that there was no proper fire exit. There were also reports stating that the guards outside the building thought the commotion was a riot, and they allegedly locked the doors because of it. There were at least 162 deaths because of this incident. In an interview, Unique tells the story of why he wrote a song about this tragedy. He mentions that he happened to drive by a food chain called Gouda. He also mentions that he heard stories about the place being the original location of the Ozone disco. He tells the interviewer that he got curious and he looked up the Ozone disco fire incident. He says that the event really struck a chord with him, especially because disco was the genre he grew up with. The fact that Unique was able to write such a catchy song from such a horrible event shows his mastery in songwriting. I find it fascinating how an artist can do that. Unique Salonga is an artist who I find extremely talented. Ever since his work with Four of Spades, I've been hooked. The stunning vocals, the complimentary guitar playing, the alluring stage presence, he had it all. He was an outstanding frontman. When I heard that he was leaving the band, I was admittedly saddened at the news. But on the bright side, the music he's been able to come up with is right up my alley, particularly his song Ozone. Like any work of art, interpretation and meaning is subjective. An artwork can speak volumes to one person but seem worthless to another. For me, the song is truly masterful. Why? Well, I find that the song encapsulates the vibe perfectly. The sort of funky and upbeat instrumentation contradicts the dark and tragic lyrics. Let's dig a little deeper, shall we? The first verse of the song goes like this. Tulak ang pintong papasok sa sayawan. Sa gabing ito'y may isang inaasahang makasayaw at magkapiling hanggang kinabukasan. Mabubuo ang alaala, magpapasok kaluluwa, basang-basa ng pawis dahil sa arsonista kong mata. Magliliyab kapag ako'y lumapit ng tuluyan. The lyrics roughly translate to push the door into the dance floor. Tonight, there's someone I'm looking forward to dancing and being with until morning. Memories will be made and the soul will be burnt. I'm drenched in sweat because of my arsonist eyes. Fire will set ablaze if I get any closer. We can conclude that the song is written from one of the patrons' perspectives. The person speaking is at the disco, anticipating an entire night of dancing and making memories with their special someone. And the reason why the person's eyes were told to be that of an arsonist is because what they saw unfold was what arsonists unfortunately get to see whenever they commit the crime. Flames raging, people panicking, and disaster happening. Sunugin natin ang ating mga paa. Tagitab ng bawat padyak ay nadarama. Sunugin natin ang ating mga paa. Tagitab ng bawat padyak ay nadarama. The lines roughly translate to, let's burn our feet. The shock of every tramp is felt. The lyrics paint a horrifying picture of what happened inside of the disco. And this picture is made even worse in the second verse. And the second verse sounds like this. Tinulak ang pinto ng ilang kaibigan. May kumalat sa loob, lahat ay nagsitakbuhan. Isang daan kaming lumalayo mula sa kamatayan. Mabubura ang alaala, magpapasok kaluluwa, basang-basa ng pawisan. Nakita ng aking mata, naging abo ang ating buhay at pag-ibigan. When you translate the lyrics into English, it goes like this. Friends pushed the door. Something started to spread inside and everyone ran. There were 100 of us running from our demise. Memories will be erased and the soul will be burnt. I'm drenched in sweat because of what I saw. Our life and love was burned to ashes. The second verse paints an even more vivid picture of the chaos and tragedy that occurred. It tells the listeners how the fire started and how the lives of many tragically ended. After the second verse is another chorus, which is then followed by another chorus. And here's what that sounds like. Hanggang katawan, ulo hanggang paa. Nagitab ng bawat isa. isa ay nadarama. Sunog ang katawan, ulo hanggang paa. Dagitap ng bawat isa ay nadarama. Sunugin natin ang ating mga paa. Dagitap ng bawat padyak ay nadarama. Sunugin natin ang ating mga paa. Dagitap ng bawat padyak ay nadarama. When you translate the words, this is what they mean. Bodies are burnt from head to toe. The shock of every single one is felt. Let's burn our feet. The shock of every single tramp is felt. The lyrics and structure are identical to the previous chorus, though the lines are a bit different. After the final chorus, it goes to the outro, and the outro sounds like this. Itulak ang pinto. 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 The repeated lines mean push the door, referring to what the people tried to do to escape the burning disco. Without the proper context, the lyrics would seem like nonsense. But if you know the story behind it, you'd be able to conclude that the song expresses the sheer horror and tragedy that occurred in the Ozone disco on that night. The song can be interpreted as a tribute to the people whose lives were lost because of poor planning and horrible decision making on the part of the management. May their souls rest in peace. To be completely honest, I've never heard of the Ozone disco incident before hearing this song. When I read the lyrics, I was baffled. I wondered what the words meant and what the context was. Like Unique, I got curious and looked up what the Ozone disco incident was. After doing a bit of research, I listened again. I was fascinated, even a little scared. Again, like Unique, it sort of struck a chord with me as well. I could only imagine the atrocities and tragedy that happened on that night. The song reminds people of the absolutely terrible events that took place in the Ozone disco on March 18, 1996. I'm one of those people. It stuck with me for a long time. In fact, when we were told to do this art vlog and do an analysis on an artwork, I immediately thought of the song Ozone. Ultimately, Ozone embodies peak songwriting, and it is such a masterpiece. That's all from me, I'm Laird, and thanks for sticking until the end.